Just how many LEGO Batman are there across 4 mainline DC games, 3 spin-offs, and quite frankly, way too many movies? We have an abundance of Caped Crusaders to analyze, with there being over 100 different variations of the Dark Knight. If you've watched my channel before, you know we just don't scrape the surface and call it a day. We're going to be diving deep into not just the Batman that we can see, but also the ones we can't, to create the most cohesive LEGO Batman list that we can. And yes, we'll of course be talking about the brand new LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, with even some information from TT Games themselves on the future of this Batman. I want to first lay down the criteria for what counts as a new version of Batman, because some suits and character designs stay consistent throughout game transitions. If the functionality or design of a Batsuit or Batman himself changes, that is a new version. We're not looking at the persona under the cowl, just Batman as a mantle. For example, the Sonic suit appears in LEGO Batman 1 and 3, and those are two different things. Not only was the suit upgraded, but it also looks different. We're trying to find as many different interpretations as possible within the LEGO video game universe. To start out, we'll have to rewind our clocks all the way back to 2006, 2 years before the release of our first LEGO Batman video game. There were 3 shorts released in spring of that year called LEGO Batman, Bricks, Bats, and Bad Guys, and although they were meant as ads for the toy, they also somehow ended up just perfectly slotting into our video game timeline. So just for fun for today, we'll throw this into the mix as well. Go watch that timeline video if you want more information on how the hell that works. So these are all pretty simple. It's just LEGO Batman taking down villains after they steal gems, or something. The reason I like to consider these at least somewhat related to the video games is because the pairing of villains match up with the first game, as well as the vehicles used to apprehend them. Penguin's got his submarine, Two-Face drives Mr. Freeze around in the armored truck, and even Joker's helicopter makes an appearance. The version of Batman here is the same in all 3 shorts, making Bricks, Bats, and Bat Guys our very first version of Batman. Now we can talk about 2008's LEGO Batman the video game. There is of course the main version of Batman here, but also his 4 suits, Demolition, Glide, Sonar, and Heat. I almost forgot about the Heat suit, don't sue me, but that's not all. We've learned from old promotional materials such as guidebooks and websites that the demo suit actually had 2 previous beta versions in the game. One with a more like reddish maroon accent color, and the other with bright red goggles. We're not pulling any punches today. These are 2 different versions of Batman, in the same way that the Sonar suit from Batman 1 and Batman 3 are different suits. One is just a more unrefined primal version. 7 is a pretty high number for just one game, but there's still one more version of Batman to talk about. It's not a suit or a scrapped version, rather something we learned from the game's lore bank, the data entries. This entry here tells us that for a brief period in LEGO Batman's career, the crime fighter Azrael once had to take up the mantle of Batman after Bane broke his back. Even though we don't see it happen, and Azrael is just a secret character, it couldn't be more in our face that he was, at one point, Batman, ending off our first game with 8 Batmen. 4 whole years later, and we got the game's first direct sequel, LEGO Batman 2 DC Supervillains, and as well as the tie-in movie. I'll be considering these as the same product, as the film just seeks to retell the events of the game with a few more added scenes. Here we also have the titular Batman with an upgraded design, as well as 4 more suits. The Batsuit, the Sensor Suit, the Power Suit, and the Electricity Suit. And much like our first game, one scrapped suit that resembles the first game's Heat Suit. We don't know what this suit would have done in-game, but with the introduction of heat vision with Superman, I imagine it would have allowed Batman to melt golden objects. The game's story is pretty linear, and although that is all of the Batman we get to play as, there is one more version that makes a brief, and I mean very brief, appearance. In the cutscene following the LexCorp level, Superman and Batman swap costumes to trick Lex Luthor into thinking he's taken down both heroes. Because of how future games treat the disguise tag, this classifies as another form of Batman, and would probably be called Superman open parentheses Batman disguise closed parentheses. Speaking of those future games, this sort of thing happens in LEGO Batman 3, but before getting there, we need to talk about the suits. The Sensor Suit, Power Suit, and Electricity Suit all return, alongside new suits like the Space, Arctic, and Scuba Suit. The Sensor Suit now has the innate ability to glide, which sets it apart from its previous counterpart, and the Sonar Suit has a completely revamped design and name. The Electricity Suit also has a new design, but much like the Power Suit, which didn't change at all, it doesn't do anything new. I went back and forth on whether this should be classified as a different version of Batman, and ultimately decided yes. If I'm going to count scrapped beta suits and cutscene characters as different versions, I think these slightly enhanced graphical versions of old suits should count too, even if they are fundamentally the same. This game has a lot of alternate Batman with different designs and abilities, and it would be very mundane to list off every single minute difference, so I'm going to go over them by name and show them behind me. We're going to call it there for this game because they're not very interesting. But starting off, looking at my phone, because again, there are a lot of them, we have Joker Batman Disguise, which is how I named Superman Batman Disguise in Batman 2. We have Batman 66 from the old TV series, Batman Darkest Night, Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, Azrael Batman, which backs up our first game to Azrael Batman placement as well. Batman from the Dark Knight trilogy, Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond. Batman the Brave and the Bold, Batman from Detective Comics number 27. Batman the Dark Knight Returns, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, Sinestro Corp Batman, Bat-Zaro, Rainbow Batman, Zebra Batman, Vampire Batman, and if you count him, Batmite, which I'm not going to count him for this video. There's also Composite Superman, which is a combination of Batman and Superman. A lot of these came from this DLC pack for, I think it was Batman's 70th anniversary, and unfortunately, there's a side tangent here, they don't even have suits. They can just like throw batarangs and that's it, and they share the same animations across the board. I really wish they would have done more with this and gave them custom looking, suits, or maybe even like a different suit wheel than base Batman, but we got some cool additions here, Batman Beyond being my favorite, so I'm not going to be too picky about it. Yeah, LEGO Batman 3 has the most versions of Batman out there, at least until Legacy of the Dark Knight drops. But before we talk about that, we have 4 other games to go over. I also want to say at this kind of intermediate halfway point of the video that if you like my content and you want to see more of stuff that I'm doing outside of just LEGO video games, there's a new video on my second channel, Goofy Funny, where we manually walk a couch 6 blocks in the summer heat and get it up a very narrow staircase. It's a very rewarding video. You get to watch 2 guys sweat a bunch and then complete like an arduous task. I promise you it's worth it. Link down below. Okay, also buy my movie. Anyways, back to the LEGO Batman video. Let's tackle the LEGO movie series of games first, as they are the simplest. The first game only has 1 Batman, called Batman, but the second game has 5. On top of my head, I believe it is Batman, Batman Gold, Batman Shimmer, Batman Sistarian, and Batman Unarmored. Then we have Dimensions, which has Batman, LEGO Movie Batman, LEGO Batman Movie Batman, because they're separate for some reason, and then a weird one, Excalibur Batman. It's a really cool addition, I don't know where this came from. Don't worry, we're almost at the end of the video game portion of the video, but before we go on to Legacy of the Dark Knight and whatever that game has going on, I first want to go over a game that I thought would personally have way more to offer us. LEGO DC Supervillains. While I know this game is more focused on the villains, hence the name, I was still surprised at just how little presence Batman had. Like, okay, out of all the heroes, I think he appears as a playable character in the story the most. But from what I remember, it's only twice. When we examine the full roster, we have Batman, and then 3 DLC characters. Again, I get why it's like that, but I was just shocked. Anyways, these 3 DLCs are the animated series Batman, my personal favorite, LEGO Movie 2 Batman, and Batman Movie, which I presume is from the Snyderverse. So where does this leave us right now? With everything I've listed off, I have counted 55 exclusive different versions of Batman. Some are different suits, some are cutscene or scrapped characters, and some are Excalibur Batman. But that is every single Batman we see appear in the video game universe as of October 2025. Though next spring, something brand new is happening, and even though we don't know a whole lot about the suits in that game, we can try our best to make a very well-placed, educated guess as to how many different versions of Batman will be in that game, by going directly to the source. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight launches at some point next year, and we've seen a lot about the robust costume system the game is implementing. It's a great way to keep the small character roster feeling fresh, and is also going to do a lot for our numbers. I reached out to Gahan, the community manager over at TT Games, who I met when I was there in Cologne for Gamescom, and I asked him a very simple question. Just give me a number of how many different Batmen appear in this game. Because there could be different variations. There could be ones for Nightwing or Robin, there could be ones for Talia al Ghul, you never know, they could throw some really weird deep cuts in there. And this is what Gahan had to say to me. That wasn't very helpful. Not their fault. I guess I just should have been not so hard on LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. I probably blacklisted myself from anything, pretty hard. Jokes aside, we can still make an inference as to how many suits will be in the game. I couldn't find a way to verify this information, but I do remember the number 35 being thrown around when I was over with the team at Gamescom. This number, of course, being in reference to how many different suits Batman has. We've seen a handful of these already: the BTAS suit, the Serial suit, Dark Knight suit, the Batman suit, Rainbow Batman, and Batman the Brave and the Bold. But I'm going to make two hard calls that there will be a couple more that reference Batman specifically. I predict that Nightwing will have a suit that references his tenure as Batman during the Prodigal run after Bane broke Batman's back, and that Commissioner Gordon will have some kind of makeshift, cheap Batman suit just for fun. We know there's some sillier costumes in the game for sure with this cowboy outfit, so I don't think it's out of the question. Don't click off the video just yet because we still have 3 more entries to cover, that being the LEGO Movie Universe ones. If you're at all questioning their canonicity to our video game universe, well, look no further than this cutscene in LEGO Dimensions. These are all linked. We already covered these 2 in their video game form, so I'm going to be taking these out of the equation. And although we got a LEGO Batman Movie Pack for Dimensions, I think the movie is a separate case. Sure, maybe we can't count LEGO Batman himself as a different character, but what about all the different suits we see in the Batcave? Or what about all the flashbacks that Alfred gives us in the beginning of the movie? These all fit our criteria, giving us, and I'm gonna look at my phone again, I don't wanna misread any of this, giving us Batman vs. Superman in 2016, Dark Knight Rises from 2012, Dark Knight from 2008, Batman Begins in 2005, then ones for 97, 95, 92, 98, and 66, respectively. It gets worse, trust me. Because we're still not done. I had so many Batsuits to analyze in this one gag scene that it was literally endless. I couldn't even read half the ones in the background. And there are a lot. So once again, I'm looking at my damn phone, so we're gonna read all of these off to every single one of you. There are 46 of them, which almost equals the amount we saw in like a 2-decade span of the video games. Let's go. Here we go. Exclusive Bat, New 52, Current Bat, Merbat, Combat, couldn't read that one, couldn't read that one, couldn't read that one, Buccaneer Bat, Electric Bat, White Bat, Prom Date Bat, Comic-Con Exclusive, Scoobat, Tears of a Bat, Bat by Gaslight, St. Patrick's, El Murcielago, the Batriot, Bathurst 1000, Silent but Deadly, Glam Bat, Night Terror, Clan of the Batcave, Death Merchant, Raging Bat, Saturday Night Fever, Firestarter, couldn't read that one, Tartan Bat, Clawed Range, Desert Bat, Baturation, Excalibat, I found it, that's where it's from. Batman Beyond, Arctic Bat, Electric Bat, Whiz Bat, Easter Bat, Bat Rishkanov, Fairy Batmother, Winged Avenger, Reggae Man, The Bat Pack, Classic Bat, and Kick Butler. I'm gonna count Kick Butler. I know it's a gag, but I'm counting Kick Butler. Okay, with that out of the way, I think that is legitimately every single Batman variation present in any of the video games and the slightly extended universe. If I missed something, I'm sure everybody will let me know. For those wondering where the other DC animated movies are, as we discussed in a bunch of videos in the past, these movies are not canon to our LEGO Batman timeline. So excluding those and just everything canon, we have found 147 Batmen. Oh my god, 147. Look, I got no way to outro this video. I hope that LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight gives us those 35 plus 2 Batsuits. If I called that, I'm gonna be so smart. But thank you all for watching. This was a pretty big undertaking, and we will be back with more Batman content next week. We got a whole rest of the year of Batman stuff, so get ready, because I'm sure not. Goodbye.